Gracie. Gracie is one of our wildlife ambassadors. She does live behind the scenes normally, but she comes out to do presentations. So this is really exciting for you guys to get an opportunity to see one of our wildlife ambassadors up close. Feel free to take photos and videos, and then I will have this be interactive. You can ask me questions along the way too, but I'm going to chit chat just for a little while to tell you some really cool things about Gracie. Before I do that, though, does anybody have a guess as to what kind of animal Gracie is?
Adorable.
Adorable is always the right answer. Ooh, you are very close. The guess was North American porcupine. She looks a little different than the porcupines you guys might be used to seeing in your backyard if you live in some of the colder areas in North America. She is a porcupine. She is a prehensile-tailed or Brazilian tree porcupine. So she is the South American version of what we have here. And she has a lot of adaptations that look quite different. So if you guys have ever seen a North American porcupine, which we do have some of behind the scenes here too, they are very fluffy.
She's not listening.
And they are about the same size, but they don't have that long tail. Their tail is actually kind of flat and short, almost like a beaver's, but shorter. And they use their tail for similar things as Gracie, but for climbing. So these South American or Brazilian tree porcupines are semi-arboreal, and that just means they spend most of their lives up in the treetops. So my favorite couple adaptations that Gracie has, she's showing you one right now, that really long prehensile tail of hers. That tail is really cool. You're going to see her use that tail as she's navigating these trees. She can even hang from that tail like she's demonstrating right here. She's cheating a little bit, but that's okay. And if you notice that tail, it does sort of look similar to an opossum's tail in that there is no hair or no quills on the bottom. So just like the bottom of our hands, we don't have hair that helps us to grip onto things. That is why she doesn't really have hair on that underside, and that tail is solid muscle. So she does have full control over that, and she can use that to balance up in the treetops. And when she turns around and you get to see the front of her, you will see my favorite adaptation that these guys have, and that is that really fluffy big marshmallow nose of theirs. So that nose is a very important adaptation that these porcupines have, and it is going to help them to find their food. They are primarily nocturnal, so they're going to spend most of the daytime sleeping, and they'll get up at night when it's a little bit safer for them to navigate in the trees. And they do blend in pretty well in those treetops. Now, because they are nocturnal, I'm going to take a break to interpret what she just did because that was really cool. How many of you in the front row just got hit with porcupine quills? Anyone?
No.
No souvenirs going home today. You all survived. Congratulations. Now, how many of you think porcupines can shoot their quills?
She's hiding.
A couple of you. The movies like to make it look really cool, and like porcupines can shoot those quills out because it would be super amazing. But those quills are just modified hairs, so they are made of the same thing as our hair. It is keratin, and theirs are actually a little bit hollow on the inside, so they're even lighter than our hairs. So that would be like us shooting our hairs. You guys want to try it? On 3, everyone try to shoot your eyebrows. 1, 2, 3. Did anyone do it? No. We can't shoot our hairs, and neither can Gracie here. But then how do porcupine quills stick into predators? Any guesses?
They pull them out and stab them.
They pull them out and stab them. They do have hands. That is a good theory. What did you say? It just sticks in. So what happens is those quills are actually barbed on the end. So once they stick into something, they're staying there for a while. And then Gracie has actually kind of a trigger release system in her quills. So while she can't shoot her quills, they do come out quite easily when there's pressure applied to them. So basically the way that they defend themselves is she is going to kind of raise those quills up, just like when we get goosebumps if we feel scared, our hairs stand up on our arms. If she feels threatened, she's going to stick all of her quills straight up in the air, make herself look really big, and then she is going to run into a predator. So she will actually back into or run into that predator, leave them with a face or paws full of quills, and then run to safety. So that is her main defense mechanism. It's going to be the whole quill. Luckily for Gracie, just like our hair, she's just going to regrow those quills. Now, she does naturally shed quills like we shed hair. So one of the reasons we think that myth of porcupines shooting their quills goes around is because what you guys saw her do here, we call that a shake. She's sort of just adjusting her quills, kind of fixing her hair a little bit, getting comfortable. When she does that, any loose quills that were already coming out will fall out, and some might go flying a couple feet, so it looks like she's shooting her quills, but she has no control over that. Those are just hairs or quills that have already started to loosen up or fall out on their own. So a lot of people like to ask us, have you ever been quilled by the porcupines you work with? And most of us say no, not directly by the animal, but every day when we clean up, we are cleaning up little tiny quills that they shed. And sometimes they can go into our hands if we don't pay attention where we're scooping or sweeping. So I have personally been quilled many times, never by an actual porcupine. Do you have a question?
How long does the quill stay in your body?
How long do the quills stay in your body? That's a great question. Now, we have hands, and Gracie has hands. So if a quill got stuck in us, or sometimes quills can even get stuck in them unintentionally, we could just use our hands and pull them out. Doesn't feel very good, but we can do that. But what's really crazy about those quills, and what usually happens in predators, is they can actually keep going into the body. So because they are barbed, they will sort of travel inward, and if you don't get them out in time, they can go all the way inside and cause a pretty bad infection. So that is really her main defense. So obviously it doesn't feel good to have a lot of quills stuck in you, but it's probably not going to kill a predator. But that secondary infection definitely can. So you see a lot of stories of dogs getting into confrontations with North American porcupines. They usually lose that confrontation, and they come home defeated with a face full of quills. It is a very good idea to not try to pull those out on your own and to take your dog to the vet, because sometimes there may be some quills that have gone deeper into the skin that we can't see. Gracie's thinking about a hang. She has to get the right footing first. It's a process.
And then
Exactly. So if you guys are getting a look at her teeth there, you might notice they do look a lot like a beaver. You mentioned rodent teeth. Gracie actually is a rodent. So she is in the rodent family. She's related to beavers, capybaras, squirrels, all things rodents. There are hundreds of species of rodents here on the planet, and Gracie is one of them. Now, all things that rodents have in common are going to be those ever-growing teeth. So those top two and bottom two incisors, they grow forever and ever. She says, I'll bring that food to me, thank you very much. You can just leave it here. She has a little charcuterie board of all the different things she likes to eat. These guys are herbivores, so she's gonna have to chew on really hard things to keep those teeth nice and filed down, and one of those things is tree bark. So these guys will chew on tree bark to kind of get to the inner sweet cambium layer of the tree, and that's really good for their dental health. And if you did get a look at her teeth, did you notice the color? They're orange. Does anyone know why they have orange teeth?
No.
they don't have a toothbrush?
They don't have a toothbrush. They don't go to the dentist. Luckily, your teeth will not turn orange if you don't brush your teeth. Maybe a little bit yellow. But our teeth can't be as orange as Gracie's teeth because her teeth, I think I heard it out there, iron? Yeah, they are actually coated with iron. So iron helps to strengthen the tooth, and that's one of the reasons that they do continue to grow and that they can chew on very hard things and not break their teeth. So all rodents are going to have orange teeth, but it's usually just those front four incisors that are orange. And then they have different sets of molars in the back, similar to us, but they have slightly different structures. That's a really cool thing about rodents. The other thing rodents have in common, and one of the things I love about them, is those little hands. All rodents have hands, and they use them to bring food right up to their mouth and have a little snack. Personally, I think it's very cute, and it's one of the things that we have in common with rodents that helps us to relate a little bit to them. You've been very patient. Thank you. What's your question? How long do they last? How long do they live? That is a great question. Gracie is 4 years old? What did we determine, Caitlin?
She is
She's 4 years old. Sometimes when we're here long enough, we just don't remember how old all of our animals are. It's timeless. They don't age in our minds. But Gracie is almost 4 years old. And so she's still pretty young, and these guys can live into their late teens, sometimes early 20s. So it just depends. They are a slightly longer lived rodent. A lot of rodents have very short lifespans, but thankfully Gracie does not. And she came to us from another zoo a couple years ago as part of a breeding program. So if you guys have ever heard of something called the SSP, or Species Survival Plan, does that sound familiar to anyone?
No.
Yes.
Ooh, I know Ryan knows what that is. It is pretty cool. It's basically like a Match.com, which I'm dating myself when I say that, pun intended.
Put that in the bag.
But maybe like a dating app for all of you guys that are a little bit younger. And it is for all animals in managed care. And so what we do is we match them up based on their genetic diversity. And this might be across different states, even different countries in some instances. And this helps us maintain the genetic diversity and that gene pool in our managed population. So Gracie was recommended to come here to meet one of our male porcupines. His name is Picante. And he is 6 years old. And we paired them together last year, and they did have a baby. His name is Paquito. And so Gracie and Picante and Paquito were a happy little family. And then Paquito is grown now. He's not quite a year old, but he is old enough to be living on his own because they are a solitary species, so he doesn't need Gracie anymore. And so he's actually living across the other side of the zoo, and he is an ambassador himself. So Paquito lives in our Africa Rocks Encounters area. If you guys ever go to the 12 o'clock show over there, you might get lucky to see Paquito. And what's really cool about the babies is the color and the way that they look when they're born. Is that what you were gonna ask?
What do you call a baby porcupine?
What do you call a baby porcupine?
Other than adorable, but
I don't know. Do you know? Do you want to say it? I do know, but I want you to say it.
a porcupet?
They are called porcupets. So I think that is one of the cutest names for a baby that you could come up with. The scientific word for a baby porcupine is a porcupet. And they, thankfully for Mom, for Gracie, they don't come out pokey like this. So when they are newborn, they don't have any quills at all on their body. They are really soft and fluffy because I don't know about you, but I would not want to give birth to that. So they come out very, very soft and fluffy, and they are bright orange when they're born. So they're just this tiny little orange puff ball, and then in the first 2 days of them being born, they start to develop quills, and those quills will harden and form over time, and eventually they will go from bright orange to black and white and covered in quills. So it's a pretty cool transformation, and luckily this was Gracie's first baby. She did very well with the baby, but we do actually have a neonatal assisted care unit right here in Basecamp, and these are very, very highly trained wildlife care specialists who can help us raise babies where maybe they might need a little bit of help. So Gracie was helpful to raise her baby, but she didn't quite produce milk right away, and so what we were able to do, and Caitlin's actually part of that NACU team, is to assist Gracie and kind of stimulate her to lactate. So we were doing assisted feeds right alongside Gracie and actually teaching her baby how to nurse, which is a really, really cool thing we were able to do here. And in doing that, we were allowing the baby to continue to live with Gracie to learn how to be a porcupine. And it was also training with us to learn how to be an ambassador here at the San Diego Zoo. Looks like Gracie is making her way back into her carrier. When we run out of snacks, Gracie is done coming out because she doesn't work for free.